Welcome along to Inside the Gold Cup, the show dedicated to analysing each match in the tournament. Yesterday there were 6, today just 4 teams remain to lift the 2007 Gold Cup trophy. Welcome along to the show. My name is Dennis Katsanos. With me, 2 generations of US internationals, Shep Messing, John Harkes. Welcome, gentlemen. Now, I know not only in this tournament but all around the world when there is a major tournament like the Gold Cup, we discover players. There are some names we didn't know before that we know by the end of the tournament. Shep, who are some of those names that have now sprung themselves upon you?
Yeah, Dennis, it's a good question, and it happens all over the world. That's part of the beauty of any international tournament. In general, Gold Cup in particular, there are always some players that all of a sudden they're on our radar screen. Now, maybe they're different categories of players. Some that have already been discovered and they're playing for a good club team, but we just don't know them here. So for me, the list is long. I'd start with Blas Perez. I mean, the Panamanian striker for me, John, is a class player.
He is a class player, and you know, not only is he just good with the ball at his feet, but his height in the box, very dangerous as well on set plays. So this is a guy who's a go-to guy for their team. Without Blas Perez in the lineup, Panama is basically a very average side. Yeah, and he has shown that he can be very lethal in this tournament.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of players with great agility in the air, Costly and Pavone as well, but I love Blas Perez. He's got the ability to go to goal, skin defenders, got the good right foot. I mean, he's a pure striker.
He is. Yeah, he gets in behind defenses as well, and he's always making them worry about him, so he's doing his job as a striker.
Well, he plays, he's based in Colombia. Do you think we could possibly see him making the move, or do you think someone might pick him up from there, Shep?
Well, he's playing at a very good level now, but they're levels and they're levels. So I think he has the ability to play for a team in Europe, which is the aspiration of many players. But John, a whole laundry list of other players that
there is, and you know, you look at these players. I mean, just in the Canadian side alone, you got Gerba as well as Hutchinson, who plays up front. And so these guys are younger players, 23, 24 years old. You also have Capu from Guadeloupe. I mean, he's a young player, and Duarte from Cuba, just turning 20, soon to be 20, the number 19, which I liked. I thought he was pretty exciting, although very young, but he was very exciting.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add one name to that category, even though he's an American player, and you would think U.S. fans know all about him. I mean, I've seen this player, John. I know you love him, but I've never seen him as much as I've seen him in this Gold Cup. He started and played all 3 of the group play games, Benny Feilhaber. I mean, again, I knew who he was, but I've really been impressed watching him play.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned him because I didn't want to stroke him too much. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of his. He's got great quality on the ball, great touches, good vision as well. And he's the type of player, I think, for the future is very bright. So, you know, having seen him in the Gold Cup, and we talked about it, Shep and Dennis, is this being actually a good platform for players to have an opportunity to be seen, to be exposed in the game. And it's not, you know, it's not the World Cup, but it's a Gold Cup, and it's a very high level. So for these guys to compete and do well, it's good for them.
What did you guys think of Costly, Shep, if I start with you, about his ability up front there?
Well, first of all, I'm glad you did, Dennis, because I was just about, John and I were going to throw it to you to see if you, see if you made a mistake, but guess what? You didn't make a mistake. I'm really impressed with Costly. I love his size, his strength, his agility. I mean, this guy is an animal in the best sense of the world. He could get to goal. He could finish with the left foot. I mean, big, strong, agile, lethal. John, he's the full package.
He is a full package, and you know, again, another player who is very important to the success of this nation. You know, he for his team is a go-to player. I mean, he's a good target player, as we see here. That's an incredible header, and he does make things happen out of nothing. So, I mean, this was him coming on as a sub in the first game. You know, against Panama. So, you know, he picks up a header right away, 1 ball played into the box, and there he is. He's good to finish. So, yeah, and he's also good running at people, taking players one-on-one, creating space for others. So, again, another player that makes defenses have to worry about him. And when that happens, I mean, either they've got to double team this guy, or it becomes more of like a, okay, we've got to worry about him, and now it compromises the defense in the back, and the other striker is going to get free. So this is a guy who's doing his job very well.
Another one I've got, and John mentioned about defence or making defence worry. Another defender, like looking at the other side of the coin, that's done very well for me is Rivera from Panama. I just think he's been outstanding this tournament.
I agree. Dennis, it scares me when you're 2 for 2.
Okay,
I'm sure you'll go downhill, but I also like Rivera.
So nice.
As an outside back, he's a tenacious defender. He's shown he's got the ability to get forward, to get to goals. So he's been a good two-way player. I like outside backs that can attack. I think he's a solid young defender.
He is, actually. He's a good defender, and like you said, Shep, he has, he's gone forward, he's scored a goal or two, and he's also a guy who knows how to tuck inside and defend off the center backs. And as a young player, it's difficult. Sometimes they don't read the game very well. This is the guy that seems to offer cover and balance in the back line.
Well, as we know, many players do get discovered in tournaments, including John Harkes, who made his way over to England from there. When we come back, it's quarterfinal 3 between Mexico and Costa Rica, a real feisty one.
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
The screenings that happen here might be fun or dramatic, but it's not real life. There's another screening that is real life, and it could save your life. It's a screening test for colorectal cancer, the second leading cancer killer of men and women. Screening finds precancerous polyps so they can be removed before they turn into cancer. I got screened. Now it's your turn, so you can stick around and enjoy the show.
If you're 50 or older, get screened for colorectal cancer.
Work like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Welcome back to Inside the Gold Cup, where quarterfinal 3 was contested between Mexico and Costa Rica. A rather feisty affair indeed. And if we look at this Mexican lineup, Shep, I'll tell you, there's millions of dollars on the paddock playing like a discount team.
I like Sanchez, John. I like Salcido, and after that, nobody else.
Lozano does some work rate. He at times too much in the midfield, kind of holding with Tirado. But, look, Borghetti up top, typical target guy, Bravo, running off of him. That's Mexico's team right there. Unfortunately, they don't have Bautista in the lineup again, so he may come in the second half.
We thought they could possibly gel for this game, but no, as we'll see a little bit later on, it didn't happen again, Shep.
Well, I don't know about we. I mean, I was on the Mexican bandwagon as the top team in the tournament. I jumped to the side of my friend John Harkes because I've been shocked by how they've played. I don't want to reiterate, but the first time they played in Houston in front of 68,000 fans, I expected to see a good team. But I think we're looking at a team that has tremendous trouble. They have trouble figuring out their starting 11. They have trouble with their coach, Hugo Sanchez. It's not the free-flowing, good, both sides of the ball international team we're used to seeing, John.
No, it's very true. And it's, basically when it comes down to it, it's just not a happy camp. Yeah. It's these players, they look like they're playing tense and a little bit too tight. There's not, like Shep said, the free-flowing football. But the creativity, the imagination in the game, that's all missing as well. It's lacking. And I think whether it's, it doesn't matter the lineup. I just think that they're just not good enough, this team. And there's a lot of players that are on the team, whether it be the depth coming in or not, and they're just not putting it together.
Well, for the Costa Rican team, the question was, where would the goals come from? One notable absence in this lineup, Shep, no Walter Centeno.
Well, I like Porras, but he's not going to score any goals for him. Cordero, Padilla, Drummond, and they play 3 in the back, and then John out of the midfield, and the guys up top, that's where they have to try and find a way to create a goal.
And again, like Wallace, he does like to get wide, get around the back of people, but Ante sometimes finds the game a little bit closer up top to Gabriel, but, look, without Centeno, unfortunately, there's a lot of creativity and imagination that we were just talking about with Mexico. It's missing now for Costa Rica, so he's the go-to guy for them. He's the player that steps up and says, I'll take the game by the scruff of the neck, and he's produced goals. So if this is the guy that they're missing, there's a big, hole to fill there. And unfortunately for Costa Rica, it didn't work.
Well, this is the quarterfinal 3 between Mexico and Costa Rica.
Well, it starts out, guys, with a controversy. Terry Vaughn, he's talking to Alaman, throwing up a yellow. He already had 1 yellow. Now he's totally confused, Terry Vaughn. Bang! Red card. John, how in the world do you give a red card for the second yellow? Mexico trying to get on the board, and good goalkeeping by Porras.
Very good goalkeeping. This is a great shot as well. Beats the wall over the top, even though they jumped. This one here, good cross, kind of a shot cross or whatever, but he puts it in the danger area. The keeper makes a save. Back post here on the other end, though.
Yeah.
Costa Rica getting back into it.
That was a great opportunity on the direct free kick. That's the header. Sanchez doesn't get a hand. That smacks off the crossbar. Mexico gets lucky. Now Blanco's in the game as a substitute. That's actually good skill, and I hate Blanco. Porras makes the save. We get into extra time.
And this is Bautista. He wasn't playing the last few games, but he comes in again. He's the provider. There's a target man, Borghetti. He gets the goal. And a little bit more of the acting 101. Here we go. Terry Vaughn lost the plot in this one, throwing out cards everywhere. And the game, basically, I'll tell you, this is it right here. It got physical, like Dennis said, but having said that, I think with the amount of cards that were thrown out here, you don't want to be the centerpiece. The fans do not come and spend money to see a referee in a game. They come to see the players.
I'll tell you, I couldn't agree with you more. And we look at the stats. 21 shots, 12 shots. So you know what? I don't care about stats. The bottom line, the only stat that mattered really are the cards. And John, you really hit it on the head. There's 68, actually 70,000 people in the stands. They didn't come to watch Terry Vaughn. I think Costa Rica, they were real hard done by the referee decisions. And again, I'm the biggest believer that it's the toughest job in the world. We see bad calls, bad referees in La Liga, in the Bundesliga, in the Premiership, Champions League, all over.
Well, I didn't see that many in the Real Madrid final of La Liga. I would have to say, though, that it really depends on, for me, and what I really realized when I went to England is that you've got to have a good personality as a referee to man-manage on the field. Now, this is a very dangerous tackle. Yeah, that's a very dangerous foul. The ball's coming over. That's, for me, the intent there and everything else. That's a red card.
Yeah, you know what? I agree, but I think you did it on purpose. The game's over. Already had the 2 red cards. Borghetti taps him on the head. That's Bush League.
Yeah.
Really Bush League. Costa Rica, you know what, John? I think they could go out with their heads held high. They played tough. Yeah, it got physical. Terry Vaughn, I still can't believe the first one. You know why, John? Alaman had a yellow card. Oh, this is the worst flop.
That is embarrassing.
He should be thrown out of the game.
Absolutely embarrassing. We talked about getting hold of the players that are dishonest in the game, the cheats. I don't blame Hernan Medford for being upset with this match. And, it goes to show you that the referees, like they're saying, like you said, Shep, it is a difficult job. We know they're in the middle of the field. They've got to be able to keep up with the pace of the game. Certain angles, sometimes they don't see everything, and so we have the benefit of seeing the replays, right? But having said that, that's why they have assistants on both sides of the field and a 4th official. If they're not, conferring with them, then they're at a loss. They're isolating themselves in situations. We've seen it not just with Terry Vaughn in this particular game. We've seen it throughout the tournament. The Trinidad and Tobago referee, Stallateri, he gets the yellow card. He didn't even confirm anything with the 4th official. You've got to do these things. It's communication. You got to use them. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's put the officiating and the red cards and the yellow cards aside. To me, still, Mexico is shocking.
I agree. I mean, those are statements that I agree with. I don't think that they have the quality in this particular tournament, this Gold Cup tournament right now, to actually do well and get to the final. Or if they get to the final, it's for other reasons, whether it's the poor play of the team that their opposition they're up against, or they got a lucky goal, or in that situation there, they're getting a goal in extra time, with Costa Rica with men down. And, those are the things that happen in games. I know that.
Something we touched on, and you mentioned it, John, is there's a code of conduct. You mentioned it yesterday. It's a gentleman's sport. Mexico, for me yesterday, they didn't play like that at all, and it's really, again, from a fan's perspective of someone that's gone, one of the 70,000 people, even if you're supporting Mexico, you don't want to see your team win like that.
No, you don't, Dennis. And actually, the phrase that you just used there, code of conduct, hits it right on the head. Right. You're supposed to go out there, it's a gentleman game, at least have a little bit of class and dignity. And you got to be a respectful player. Look, you compete. You're gladiators out there in the pitch. You compete with each other, but still at the end of the day, you're picking somebody up next to you, the player, even the opposition, and saying, hey, well played, hard-fought match, see you after, maybe grab some lunch, dinner, whatever it may be. But you're supposed to respect the opponent as well. Respect the game. That's number one. You're taught at the youth level, and I teach this my wife does the same thing. Very hard on the youth kids. Personal responsibility. Respect the game, respect self, and respect the other players and the referee on the field. And that's it. And I agree with you. There was none there.
Yeah, and it's really, you know, the written rule is in the spirit of the game.
Right.
And we're seeing things that are not. Now, I don't want to, it's not a generalization. It's not Mexico as a whole. I happen to know Salcedo, class act.
Yeah,
class act. Many players, class act. But the bad apple in the group, it really spoils it. So no soccer fans want to see what we've seen going on.
Well, one player that was absolutely outstanding for the Costa Ricans, and another goalie again, we seem to be highlighting a lot of them, was Porras. He really kept them in the game even when they were down a couple of players.
Why shouldn't we highlight him? The most important guy on the field. I mean, he decides the game, and I'll tell you, the Costa Ricans defended well, but in the end, Porras, this is Salcedo getting forward, cracks it with the left foot. Porras, all good goalkeepers know how to make it look. He could have just picked it up, but he wanted.
That's a Hollywood style. That's a Coca-Cola commercial. But here, at the end of it, this is a great save. That is a great save, and he's making sure. Look, he's got across his feet. He's moving his feet well. Shep, you know how important that is for goalkeepers to get across the box. And again, this is a reaction save. Good strike on goal from Blanco coming in as a substitute. This is a tremendous strike. Great technique.
And that's textbook goalkeeping. Opposite hand over, his eyes follow it over the crossbar. He put on a great display, helped his team at least stay in the game.
Shep, how do goalkeepers coordinate themselves to do that? You know, the opposite hand over the... It's actually quite hard to coordinate your body to be able to do that, isn't it?
Well, Dennis, you have trouble. You have trouble chewing gum and walking at the same time. For an athlete, it's not that difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right.
We've seen you on the dance floor as well, Dennis. So I mean, look, you know, it's not as difficult.
Right. It's technique. It is. Look, there's a technique to strike a ball. John knows. You want to hit an instep drive. Proper technique. Same with goalkeeping.
Well, speaking of technical ability, another element with the Costa Ricans is their defence was outstanding. Again, they had 8 players on the pitch at one stage, and they still managed to get enough numbers behind the ball to contain Mexico and not let them go any further ahead.
Well, if anything, Dennis, I think the lesson that will be learned in this particular match is really how to dig in. I mean, this is a team that really came together. And as you said, look, it's sacrificing for each other. At this particular stage, when you're down that many men, it's about being compact, working for each other, and trying to grind down a result. And this is something, look, this is the last, he doesn't have to continue chasing that. He's outnumbered. He's got 2 in the back post there. And this is a great ball again in the box, but again, they're battling, they're fighting, you know, they didn't give up. So they can take this lesson, Hernan Medford, as a manager, and move forward with this. You know, they're on the tournament now, but now maybe moving forward into other games and building upon this is something very positive.
I totally agree with John, because that's something to build on. The players on the field, we kept thinking for Mexico, and we've debated it on and off, that they were going to rally around, pull together, and get the job done. We haven't seen it, but Costa Rica, under adversity, you could see the heart, the character. Hey, guys, it's just us. Let's fight. Let's defend. Let's do the best we can. They should be proud.
Was this Mexico's ability to get through this game, or you know, their technical ability or their style of play, or was it a little bit of luck due to some officiating?
It's always a bit of both. It's so many variables that are included in a result, and we know that you can have 80% of the possession but still lose the match 1-0. So I mean, look, did Mexico still continue to put pressure on and create opportunities moving forward? Of course they did, yeah. I mean, did they look like they were a sound side that really understood each other and were compact in shape and transitioned? No, I don't think so. But they battled. They got the result that they needed. Maybe a little bit of help from the referee and some other sources. But that's football. That's the game. It's never perfect. Things are going to happen like that, and you move on.
If you want to have one positive note on behalf of Mexico, Hugo Sanchez has been under pressure, guys. His 2 substitutes, you know, provided the winner. Batista plays the ball in, Who got the goal? Borghetti. No,
Yeah, Borghetti got the goal.
Yeah, but Blanco, I think Blanco was the other one. I think that had an impact on the game. And one unknown is we keep hearing about the great Barcelona player Marquez. Maybe he'll be here for the semifinals. I think that would make a difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Yesterday we touched on Stalteri being falsely accused. As we saw, Paul Saborio got a red card off the field. What do you think about the idea of maybe being able to reverse those red cards and maybe ping the Mexican player for simulation, John?
Well, I mean, you know, if it's going to be reviewed, I mean, go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
if there's a competition committee, you know, I'm sure there is in every tournament, in every game, there's a lot of reviews, and once in a while you get something reversed. So, you know, you would like to think that, if anything, there's a situation that if it's done the right way, you got to do the right thing. And, you know, I mean, that acting is embarrassing. That's just, no, absolutely. I'm being totally serious. That's embarrassing, and it's uncalled for in football today. It shouldn't happen.
Chip, you agree?
Well, yeah, I certainly agree. And again, it's all in the spirit of the game for players, for managers, for people who run tournaments. At the end of the day, you want to get it right. And that's all. I don't know what the process is, but players who fight, managers who manage, owners of clubs, tournaments, everybody wants to get it right. It's tough enough to go out and win the whole thing. You know, let it be an even playing field. That's what everybody wants.
Well, it wasn't the prettiest of games, but Mexico managed to get themselves through to the semi-final. They'd either be facing Honduras or Guadeloupe, and when we come back, we have a look at quarter-final 4 between those two sides.
Work like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Through the Football for Hope movement, FIFA is committed to protecting children and their rights, furthering social integration and peace and reconciliation. Football for Hope champions health promotion and anti-discrimination. FIFA is firmly committed to using football to resolve some of the most pressing social challenges of our time. Football can change the world.
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
If you're looking for technical analysis, you've come to the right show. This is called Inside the Gold Cup. That is exactly what we do through the period of the tournament. Now, quarterfinal 4 was between Honduras and the dream team, the fairy tale team, Guadeloupe. And looking at this Honduras team, Shep, this was the team that beat Cuba 5-0, and they're looking strong going into this game.
Well, they have a good goalkeeper, Vallecillo. Caballeros in the back. I mean, John, they're coming off a great game.
They are. They're coming off a game that, you know, perhaps they have put, you know, all their efforts into that. How much do they have left to face up against Guadeloupe, who's very individual? You know, Guevara, you know, you question Guevara sometimes, is he consistent from one game to the next? Costly Pavone, very dangerous up front, have been scoring goals everywhere. So there's a team that should do well.
Well, the provider in that game against Cuba was Leon. How much influence or lack of influence do you think he had in this game?
Well, I think the problem, the issue for Leon, and John and I both felt that he was a dramatic player in the first game he played, but remember, he had just played in that promotion battle in Italy to get to Serie A, flown here for the last game. He really provided a great link, a transition. Guevara sitting deep, then Leon, left-sided player, getting forward. He really was instrumental in all of the goals, providing Costly and Pavone, but you know, I think fatigue ended up being a factor for him.
It becomes a factor, and this is a situation that we have discussed many times, you know, throughout our shows. And basically you're trying to recover from one game to the next, and when you don't have that full depth of players that you can go in and fill in certain games, you've got to win every match. And Lyon, absolutely, he is suffering here. He's feeling it, and he didn't have the energy level that he had in the previous game.
Well, prior to the tournament, the expectations on Guadeloupe went high. They continued to get through the group phase. They've come through to the quarterfinals, and this is the team they put on the park, Shep.
Well, I like a couple of players. Grandel in particular, he plays in Holland, and Samael, Premiership, Sheffield, and I think they build off those two guys.
You always like the goalkeeper, Shep. I mean, what is there any goalkeepers you don't like? I like Florival, young player. I think he's just near around 20, 21 years old, very good on the ball. Socrer as well, very dangerous. I mean, this is a guy, Angloma, I thought he stood out. I thought he did very well. So these are types of players, though, that, and this is what I love about their attitude, Guadeloupe. They've gotten here because of their attitude. They just said, it's carefree. We're going to go out and play. We're going to compete. It doesn't matter if it's Brazil, if it's Honduras, or whoever. They're just going to go for it.
Well, according to everyone else and all the experts, Honduras were supposed to win this game, but someone forgot to tell Guadeloupe.
Yeah, Honduras had to wake up. They're in a new game against Guadeloupe, and early in the game, tackle friend whips this ball over. The player John talked about, Sacre, knocks it down to Angloma. He buries it with the right foot. Angloma, I know it's a great header, John. Look how he steps back to find space and then cracks in the goal.
Everything about it is technically sound. A fantastic ball in the box. Great ball back across again, and then the finish as well. It's just brilliant stuff from Guadeloupe. And look at this, very low pressure. No one really getting to the ball here. That's a brilliant service. If you don't get pressure on the ball, the guy's going to find time to pick out somebody, and that's exactly what they did, Shep.
And a couple of minutes after they scored the first goal, Sacre gets up. Now that's just shocking for Honduras. That's a great early ball in. He eludes his mark and puts them up 2-0.
In the second half here, you see, just trying to get at least a little bit of danger in the box. And Guerrero, unfortunately, the Chicago Fire lad, could not finish into the half-open net. And here is it. Again, he's very dangerous getting down the wing. This is a brilliant ball in the box.
Yeah, he
and
makes
who other? Great finish.
Makes amends. Pavone gets on the end of it. That's Guerrero. He's got the left foot crossed, and that pulls Honduras to within one. But not enough. The old man, Angloma, he's celebrating. You got to feel good about this story.
Absolutely. It's a fairy tale, and you want it to last forever. You really do. Keep the story going. Guadeloupe, keep surprising people. Get them going.
Well, I know why you're saying that. You want it to last forever because next up for them is Mexico. So.
Absolutely. Continue on. Actually, I've got some fundraising going on, so we can really support them, get good food in there. I'm sending a chef over tonight.
Now, for Honduras, they poured on the pressure, about 20, 30 minutes of pressure towards the end of that game. What went wrong for them, Shep?
Well, I think there are two things. There's never one answer. Yes, Honduras finally woke up, realized they're about to lose, and start playing better with some heavy pressure. But guess what? Now you've given Guadeloupe hope, and they're defending well, very organized. This is Honduras trying to get forward. That's a good opportunity, but nowhere near goal. This is a rare giveaway by the goalkeeper, but again, Pavone can't capitalize missed opportunities.
And then this is Guerrero, sorry, just putting this ball into the box at the back post. And look, Pavone, Costa, they're still in there. They're dangerous, but the finishing touch wasn't there. And I have to say, Guadeloupe, a lot of times they were actually the first guy to the ball. The effort that they put into it, the pressure that they squeezed some plays down, they were compact in the back and got organized. And look, I think Honduras created enough chances to put the ball in the back of the net. It just didn't happen.
Well, when you look at Guadeloupe in general, very, very different. Like they started the game, John, and this is something that you mentioned about knockout phase, is you want to score early. Did just that. Scored twice, in fact, early. And then they just seemed to switch modes. They just went straight into defence mode after that. Would that be a fair statement?
Very fair statement, yeah. And I think what they do pretty well is the transition as well. From offense to defense and from defense to offense. They're pretty exciting. They got some pace. Not just one or two players. They got 3 or 4. And this is them recovering back from a ball that was in behind. But look, they put the effort in. They slowed the play down. That's what they're told to do. As a defensive team, look at this. This is great shape right here. Numbers behind the ball. Thank you very much.
That's perfect.
Do you need any more?
That's textbook. And John alluded to the 2 components, right? You need the speed, you need the smarts, you need the organization. They got bodies back, and when everybody gets beat, it's my man Grandel.
You do love all the good
Nah,
goalkeepers.
I don't love them all, but Grandel I like.
Yeah, well, for the Honduran coach, Rueda, I think disappointment would be an understatement. He looked very, very emotional, and this is what he had to say about his side.
A national team player not only needs to be a good player, he needs something more. He needs to have character, personality, to reach a certain level of play. We all have to have that. I'm not going to name names. Today, Honduras lost as a team. Everybody who wore a Honduras shirt was a part of this.
Yes, a very, very unhappy man. Tell me, gentlemen, when you go to a press conference and you pretty much say that about your players, John, how do the players react to that? Do you lift, or do you just think, why is the coach giving us a hard time at a press conference? I don't know.
I love your questions. I love your questions.
I'd be a bit.
Look, at the end of the day, a manager for me is the first guy that needs to stand up and say, look, maybe I didn't get the best out of my team today. Yep. You know, maybe I didn't inspire them enough. I don't think, you know, it's a good situation when you use the media to kind of criticize your players. I think at the national team level, these players know when they've played well and when they haven't. And if they don't show up on the day, obviously he's upset. So, look, you know, a rush of blood to the head there. You do it behind closed doors. If you need to talk to players, you call them out individually, and you discuss certain things. And I just think he's very upset, obviously, at Honduras. They didn't play particularly well, although at times they tried to do it, but it was a little bit too late when they put the pressure on.
I'm with the Federation. If I'm wearing the hat of the Federation, he's the guy I fire on the spot to get up at a press conference and really throw his team under the bus without naming names. Yeah. That's something, as John said, hey, get up, take the hit for the team, disappointed in the team's performance. If he's got issues with individual players, that press conference is not the time to deal with it. He's the guy that should get the bullet. Get somebody else in there.
No, I mean, and Rueda, I mean, people have talked about him beforehand having a really hot temper, you know, a short fuse, as they say. And, you know, I think that's just, you know, he's showing his colors there. He's wearing his emotions on his sleeve in a press conference, in a post-game thing. So really he should collect himself, have an idea. Look, when you're in those situations, I haven't been in those situations as a head coach for a national team. Will I one day? Maybe. I don't know. But I'm sure as hell I'm going to try to just at least curb my, you know, emotions and put it to the side and say, like Shep said, okay, look, you know, things didn't go particularly well for us today, you know, and maybe we'll take some responsibility myself.
Hey, you know, I just think I heard on this show, Honduras, John Hawks is available. No, don't take him. I have other plans for him.
Speaking from a media perspective, I know that with the press conferences, we pretty much whiz the coaches through within 3 or 4 minutes. So I don't think Johnny would have had a lot of time to calm down the poor guy, because normally you do. You want that time out. You want to, you know, spew in the locker room a little bit and then come out and answer everyone. So, so a bit of a tough thing to get him on the spot straight after, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's always difficult, but that's, you know, that's
the
responsibilities of a head coach. You know, you get the national team job, and it's a big job. It's a big responsibility, and you need to act accordingly.
Look, we have to go on the show with you. What we do is we take a deep breath. You know, we sit in the back, we take a deep breath, we get focused. That's what he should have done.
All right, fair enough. Well, Rueda might have been really, really disappointed, but one player that was full of smiles and even commented about the amount of preparation that they had for the tournament was Anglemar.
We only had 4 or 5 days to prepare for the tournament because our players were playing in the French League Championship. So the truth is, we had to train quickly. What can I say? We tried to gain the cohesion we need as a team. But, as I said before, we know how to play football, and we're not afraid of trying and surprising everybody.
Yes, Anglemar, very, very happy. And he said that they only had 4 days. We saw that in the interview. Not a hell of a lot of time, but they've managed to string it together, John.
Well, I think sometimes that may be the best situation. That's something that you use maybe even as a coach to your advantage. You say, fellas, we haven't had a lot of time. This is where we really need to think about this, and the focus comes out a little bit more. And instead of it being a negative situation, they turned it into a positive. And they've come together as a team. They sacrifice for each other, which is what you should do in any team situation, in any football match, and they've come out on top. So good for them. Well done.
It reminded me a little bit when he said 4 days. It reminded me a little bit about the Dutch when they got invited to Euro after a team pulled out and they were all on holiday. And of course, as we know, the story goes, they ended up winning it. Shep, do you think they could go all the way?
Well, it reminds me nothing of that. But there are two things I liked about it. I love the fact that he had the New York hat he's wearing. John spoke earlier in the tournament about about the beauty sometimes when you play without expectations. So I think when Guadeloupe first beat Canada, a lot of people shocked. I don't think anybody's shocked anymore. Can they beat Mexico? Yeah, we've seen Mexico play. I mean, stranger things can happen. Can they go on and win the whole thing? I think at this point, anything can happen.
All right, well, Guadeloupe are victorious in their quarterfinal match. Yes, they do face Mexico in their semi-final encounter. When we come back, we have a look at that particular matchup between those two sides.
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
The screenings that happen here might be fun or dramatic, but it's not real life. There's another screening that is real life, and it could save your life. It's a screening test for colorectal cancer, the second leading cancer killer of men and women. Screening finds precancerous polyps so they can be removed before they turn into cancer. I got screened. Now it's your turn, so you can stick around and enjoy the show.
If you're 50 or older, get screened for colorectal cancer.
Work like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
This is Inside the Gold Cup, your technical analysis show for the Gold Cup tournament. Yes, just 4 teams remain in the tournament, Canada and the USA. And as we just saw, progressing through to the semi-finals on the other side of the bracket is Mexico and Guadeloupe. And looking at that semi-final between Mexico and Guadeloupe, really, again, on paper, guys, it looks like a mismatch, but anything can happen in this tournament.
Well, it looks on your piece of paper it's a mismatch, but look, you got to play the game, and if anything, Mexico is not going to take Guadeloupe for granted. Certainly not. They've seen what they've done. They've seen the results. They've watched the team. There are some players on the Guadeloupe team, John, I think, that Mexico knows they have to watch. Talcafred gets out wide, can send balls in. Socrier, I mean, obviously, and Gloma.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of players to look at there. Loval as well, dangerous. You know, he's a good crosser of the ball. So, look, when you look at this roster and you talk about looking at these pieces of paper with the roster on it, don't forget that Guadeloupe has players that are being played, that are having experience in France, you know, in Holland as well, and in England. So if you got players that are playing like that in you know,
cool.
in clubs overseas, and they're going to have some experience. And when they come back together like this, they sacrifice for each other. They are dangerous. So this is a side that is capable of anything, as we've seen in some of the matches that they've played so far in this Gold Cup. And now the experience and the confidence has come together for them, and anything is possible in this situation. Anything is possible.
In terms of the officials for the game between Mexico and Guadeloupe, would they have watched the Mexico game in the quarterfinal against Costa Rica and maybe,
let's hope not.
maybe, no, just maybe, do you think they might be a little sterner on Mexico, particularly with some of the flops all rolling around, John?
Well, yeah, I would hope so. I mean, you'd like to think so, that these guys would be a little bit more stern in terms of like how, you know, they manage this game. And obviously, the fourth official, I think, is very important to the success of the referees throughout this match. If they come out there and they're flopping again all over the pitch, I don't think that they're going to get away with as much as they did in the last game where Terry Vaughn was the referee. So hopefully this is, you know, let's hope it's a non-starter and it's not even in the conversation when we finish this match. We want to be able to focus on the players that are entertaining. That's what we're there to see. These are the games, and that's what it's all about with the Gold Cup. Let the players play, let the outcomes come as they come, but don't be a referee, I mean, that stands out. again, the fans are not paying for the ref. They're paying to see the players play. Let them play.
Okay, we've seen both Mexico and Guadeloupe this evening, although quick highlights packages. Now, how does Guadeloupe, Shep, undo Mexico?
That's a good question, Dennis, because the issue for Guadeloupe, I think, number one, is how do they deal with the target striker, Borghetti. Borghetti has size, he's got strength, he's got good ability to move left and right, but John talked about the experienced defender for Guadeloupe, so Miles. So I would think he's going to mark up with him.
Yeah, and he's a hard defender as well. He understands, you know, he keeps a good line, I think, in the back, Shep, and when they're defending, they get compact. I mean, there's at times where, sure, they're going to get exposed, but I think with David in there, you know, with his stern, you know, type of defending that he has and his ability in the air, too, he's not bad in the air. So, you know, look, maybe he can challenge Borghetti. I think as well, the other one we got to talk about is Angloma in the midfield, and is that going to be Pardo? Is that going to be his situation now? He was out for the last game, I believe, Shep, with the yellow cards. You were talking about that earlier. So is he a guy that has to match up now and kind of shut him down, the one-on-one battle? So this is a game that needs to be won through the midfield. I think Guadeloupe, they get the ball wide very well. They create good width. And we saw in the last match, Honduras did a very poor job of closing down the situation. They allowed them to put balls into the box. And when Guadeloupe did that, they were very successful. Great finishes, great service. If they can do that again, they have a great opportunity, I think, to beat Mexico.
Two things stand out when I hear my buddy Hartsey talk. First of all, and he's right about everything he says, but first of all, you know, the Sheffield guys, he's talking about Samal, he's calling him David, you know, David and John.
It's me boy.
It's
well, no, he's from Sheffield United.
The other Sheffield.
The other end of the city, and we don't go down that short of the town, you know what I mean?
Hey, the other guy.
Keep it in the blue and white with the Sheffield Wednesday, fellas.
The other guy, though, I think it's an unknown, it's an X factor for Mexico. We've talked ad nauseum how bad they are, but I really think they miss Marquez. Marquez is trying to get here, to get to Chicago, play in the semifinal. We talk about a lack of balance defensively, how they're playing. Marquez, he brings everything to the team. So if he gets here, if he gets in the game, maybe we see a different attitude.
Yeah, and the one thing, though, Shep, you've got to kind of find out what's his mentality going to be like, though. He just ends up finishing La Liga, winning the championship with Real Madrid.
No, they're crying because he lost. He was crying. He was on the crying.
So emotional high for him.
Right.
Now coming here to play in the Gold Cup is his frame of mind in the right place as well. You got to think about that. Can he lift himself again and maybe play for them? So hopefully he does fly in.
John, you mentioned about Guadeloupe, very good at getting out wide. Is that the key to their success, stretching the Mexicans as far as they can?
Yeah, I think so, but also just playing the ball quickly out of the back. If one thing that they should have learned, and watching, you know, even Costa Rica play against Mexico, was that at times Costa Rica were a little bit too slow in ball circulation. You know, they're taking that extra touch, you know, switching the point of attack. You can't let them get behind the ball. When Mexico does get behind the ball, they are pretty good at winning the ball and then transitioning quick forward. And they find, as Shep said, the target man, which is Borghetti. So look, get the ball out your feet early, find the width, stretch them as far as you can, even off the keeper. If you can get it off the keeper, draw them out a little bit, and then open up the game for Mexico. Play in behind. You know, these are the things they've got to do. From watching the games in the past throughout this whole Gold Cup now, they've got to be able to, you know, capitalize on some of the mistakes that Mexico has shown.
Well, will Guadeloupe be able to stretch Mexico and make their way to the final of the tournament, or will Mexico, one of the stellar teams of the tournament, be too strong for them? When we come back, more talking points from the Gold Cup.
Like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Through the Football for Hope movement, FIFA is committed to protecting children and their rights, furthering social integration and peace and reconciliation. Football for Hope champions health promotion and anti-discrimination. FIFA is firmly committed to using football to resolve some of the most pressing social challenges of our time. Football can change the world.
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
Welcome back to Inside the Gold Cup, and one of the talking points of the tournament has been the number of cards that have been issued, and I don't know if you guys think this is steep or if it's low, but 106 yellows, John and Shep, and 13
what
reds.
What do you mean you don't know if it's low or
well,
steep?
I
think it's safe to say
I haven't compared it to a lot of other tournaments.
Cards.
Yeah, no, it is. It's pretty high.
Or as you say, cards.
Cards,
yeah,
mate.
Cards, mate. Cards.
Yeah, fair dinkum.
Loads of cards and too much, really. I mean, this is something that, unfortunately, we have to discuss. This is an issue right now in the Gold Cup tournament. It is, when it comes down to situations like this, you don't want, like we said beforehand, the referee to be the guy who's the center of attention in any match. So, unfortunately, there's been plenty of cards that have been thrown out there. And the other thing is you don't want a referee to be the one that dictates a win or a loss. You don't want him to have that much, you know, say in a game. So it's happening, and these things are going on, Shep. It's just, you know, how do you stop it? That's the main thing. How do you stop it and control it?
None of us want to see it, not the teams, not the managers, not the fans. To play devil's advocate, the referees come into a tournament like Gold Cup knowing that the passion, the rivalries between some of these countries, including, you know, Panama, Honduras, Cuba, the U.S., Mexico. This is a very passionate tournament. So maybe the referees, I don't know, maybe they came in with a preconceived notion, we got to call this real tight. We don't want anything getting out of hand. If so, hey, guys, you've gone bananas already. So you've got control. Stop throwing the cards.
It has gotten out of control. This is a situation that's 119 cards total, 13 of them red. So that's a lot in a tournament. It's almost an average of 5 per game. So, I mean, there's something wrong there, you know, it needs to be revisited. Someone needs to look at that and say, all right, settle down, talk to the players, like we said beforehand, have a personality. You've got to know the players as well. Pull them aside, have a word, hey, this isn't happening anymore. That's the main thing. Once you get the players, you pull them aside. It doesn't have to be an initial red card straight away. It can be a conversation. You say, you keep it up. Do you want to stay on the field? Those are the things that need to be said to the players.
And John makes a great point. And coming into the semifinals, John, I really think they should take your recommendation. You've got 4 teams left, hopefully 2 great semifinal games, and then the final. Now's the time to meet with the 4 teams left and lay down the law. Hey, guys, here's how it's been. Here's how it's going to be. Let's make this a great finish to the tournament.
Well, let's take it from the referee's perspective. Say you have got a disruptive side, a team that basically their agenda is to go out there and foul to break down the other team's play or, you know, their continuity. How do you officiate for a game like that, John?
Well, I mean, look, I mean, those things are going to happen. I'm not a referee.
Okay. I know.
I'm not a referee. But having said that, you know, you look at one particular team comes to mind for me, and that's Guatemala.
Yep,
I think Guatemala is a side that really that's part of their game plan. You know, they want to break up the other team's tactical attack or whatever it may be, but they know how to shut it down. They foul, they cheap, they come late to tackles. You know, Ruiz, our old favorite fan there. I'm you know not a big fan of his, but he's a player as well who does it. He disrupts the play. So these are games that are going to happen, Dennis. I think the first thing to do is to get a hold of it, recognize it straight away, and as Shep said, have a word with the federations and with the national team coaches themselves and say, this is what we're expecting out of this game. We are going to be clamping down right away. Do you want the players sent off the field, or are they going to try to be on their best behavior?
Okay.
That's the main thing.
Going the other way, the simulators, do you just basically tell them to get up, and then when the play stops, then issue them with the card if it's an obvious simulation?
He had a BB gun. He could have shot them with that. I mean, some of the acting going on there. Sniper.
The mystery sniper.
Yeah.
You know, it's an old adage in the sport, and it's really, and it's true, John. It's easier to destroy than it is to create. You know, soccer's a game where it's easier to defend and to break down than it is to create. We all want to see creativity. Those guys that are fainting and falling and diving and flopping, I mean, to me, I'd red card them, yellow card them before anybody else.
I agree.
On a positive note, 57 goals over 2 a game. Again, that's a very good average and very good for the punters that are paying the dollars to go and see them.
Oh, tremendous goalkeeping, Dennis. I think John and I talked about it at the beginning of this show, our first Gold Cup show. the quality of play has improved. There's more parity in terms of, no 9-0 blowouts. So
yeah. Well, I mean,
we're seeing good goals.
Yeah, I think we're seeing good goals. I think in terms of the quality of play, I don't think it's a high level as it has been in some other Gold Cups. Right. But I would agree with you, Shep, and say that in terms of that bottom team that really never had a chance beforehand, the minnows, the gap's gone from here to there, to the top team. So, I agree with that point. I mean, is the quality of the Gold Cup and the teams right now, and the soccer that's being played at the best? I don't think so. I think I've seen some in the past. In 2003 comes to mind. 2005 was pretty good as well. I think the quality. So this one, I'm not so sure. I mean, Mexico's supposed to be the powerhouse team. The USA is still tinkering with lineups and a lot of new faces. I think this is a transition stage for a lot of national sides right now. New coaches as well. They're all kind of getting their feelers out. This is all new, some players are green around the edges here, so it's a testing ground.
I think Stephen Hart and the Canadian team might have listened to our show the other day, because the latest news is Canada have put in an official protest about Stalteri. They reckon that it's a misidentification, something along those lines. In other words, the wrong player's been identified, and Concacaf, the disciplinary committee, is sitting down to review that, and will come out with a decision the next day or so. So, fingers crossed that an innocent man goes free. Damn it.
Well, good on you, I guess. Good on you.
Good on you, son.
Yeah, no, well, I just don't like seeing the wrong players get booked for offences that they had no.
I don't think anybody does, Dennis. I don't think anybody does.
Right.
Hopefully, this is something that gets corrected quickly.
All right. Well, it's time to answer some of your emails and having a look at those. Well, you guys ready, Shep and John? Here we go. Here's a very, very special one that's come in. Now this is, Shep, something we noticed in the office. This is you. And then we thought you had a little resemblance to a good mate of ours, Borat. How's that, buddy? Look at that. You ever met him?
Very interesting.
And then, of course, John Harks.
I can't believe my older brother. I mean, I haven't seen him in so long. It's good to see Jim again. It's just good to do that stuff.
We'll find one.
He stole a lot of my material though in high school, so at least he's making a good living, Jim. Well done.
Actually, Shep, can you give us a yakshimash?
Yakshimash. No, my brother's doing well too.
Yeah, he's
I want to get in the movies.
Good old Borat, Shep. You never talked about him much when you were growing up, did you?
Yeah. So you haven't been to Kazakhstan by any chance?
No, he's just come on strong lately, so we're starting to recognize him as one of the family.
All right. Well, a very, very special show for you coming up. We preview those semi-finals, but we want to hear from you. Any emails that you've got that are on a more serious note than some of the clowning around that we've got, just email. In fact, they can be on a funny note. What am I talking about? mail@awesomeballs.com. That's mail@awesomeballs.com. And anything that you want to know about the tournament, www.goldcup.org. That can be for the schedule, news, scores, any stories, who's in, who's out. Gentlemen, looking ahead to these semi-finals, we've got some good ones. USA, Canada, and of course, as we mentioned, the fairy tale team, Guadeloupe and Mexico. It should be some two fantastic games.
I'm really looking forward to US Canada. I think that Canada has become a side that with more experience. Shep, we talked about it. Some of the players are getting this experience overseas, internationally, with their club levels. Stephen Hart has everything just to lay it out there, let them play, and De Guzman's on fire, De Rosario's on fire. This is a good team to watch, and it's an entertaining team as well. And they're putting the ball in the back of the net. The U.S., they're going to have a hard time with them. I
totally agree with John. I mean, this is an intriguing matchup to us because the U.S. has vacillated with their lineups. Canada, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get Onstad in goal, Stalteri in the back, De Guzman, De Rosario, Gerba. They have some weapons. Hutchinson. With the U.S., I wonder what kind of lineup Bob Bradley's going to put on the field. I think it's going to be a very good game.
It's going to be a good game, and I'm not taking anything away from the U.S. side. U.S. side's a good side as well. It depends, like you said, on what the lineup's going to be with Bob Bradley and what he decides. He does have a lot of players to choose from, so hey, it's going to be a great competition. It's going to be a nice match to see, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. Alrighty then. Yes, make sure you join us in a couple of days' time. We have got a preview show for the semi-finals. Until then, yakshimash.
The reproduction, distribution, publication, modification, public display, public performance, or transmission of this broadcast in any manner, in whole or in part, without the express written consent of Concacaf, is strictly prohibited.